Hi, ma'am. I know this is the first time you're doing a podcast or an interview, but I know that we had a lot of discussions and you have a lot of knowledge, experiences to share. So, we just want to tap into that, understand what journey you have had for the last 15 years, and get a better hold of what this topic you're so passionate about, and maybe the audiences also can get a hold of it. I want to start by understanding what is special education and what are the boundaries of it.
Special education means something which is more than normal, which means it needs special attention, it needs specialized care, it needs specialized support. So, when we say children with special needs, it means that they need specialized support, they need additional resources, additional services, and we have to cater all of these to support their individual needs. That is special education.
From what I hear, the biggest part of it is attention and how you are able to cater that attention. I think this must be a challenge for parents. How is it like to parent a special child?
For parents, I think they go through the most difficult time. Imagine a child born with any kind of developmental delay, with any kind of disability, to a parent. Imagine a child at 6 months not holding his neck, at 1 year not yet walking, at 2 years not yet speaking. So, a parent goes through a lot of trauma to see their child not falling under the normal boundary of development. So, that definitely is traumatic for a parent. So, they go through a lot of emotional strain. A mother goes through a lot of grief, guilt. They are worried about the child not being accepted in the society. Along with this, they go through financial burdens because the therapies, the education is very expensive. So, there are a lot of challenges that parents of special children go through. If there's a sibling in the house who is normal, that sibling might need different attention, different needs, while you're catering to a special child. So, this is what a parent would go through.
Yeah. I think that once I hear it from you, it must be an extremely traumatic process for the parents. I mean, this must be the first time they are parenting, and to go through all of this, they must be needing a lot of attention and support as well.
Yes, so we have first time parents coming to us. In fact, today there was a couple who came in with an 18-month-old baby. I could see that the baby is showing features either of ADHD or autism, but the parent has no clue about it. And I cannot use the word autism or ADHD in front of them, but I have to make them aware that yes, there is something which is out of the normal development, and you need to see a developmental pediatrician. And then the mother was asking me, is there something serious with my child? So I have to comfort her, telling her that it's not serious right now if you do the right intervention, but it could get serious if you do not consult at the right time.
How do you comfort them? Like, it must be a big task dealing with these parents when they come up with such issues.
Yes, the mothers need the most support. They need a lot of counseling. They are extremely scared and anxious to send their child to any center, to any therapy, to any school, thinking that my child is non-verbal. If there's something untoward happening with my child, he's never going to come back home and tell me if there's something that has happened at school. So that's the biggest anxiety that a parent would go through. Uh, Mothers, I really, really resonate with them. I understand the challenges that they go through, and somehow she's the only one who's blamed for a child being special, which is very sad. So I do a lot of counseling of mothers, and I tell them that they need to live their life also while taking care of the child. So we've started with a mothers support group, because like there's an announcement in the flight where you say that you have to wear your oxygen mask first before you can make an oxygen mask before you make your child wear an oxygen mask. So that is exactly what we tell the mothers, that you need to take care of yourself first before you can take care of a special child. But along with this, I always tell parents that somehow the universe has chosen you to be a parent of a special child, and that means something, which means you have the extraordinary power to nurture a special child, and you are going to do it in the best possible way. So do not give up and just accept what you have.
Do you think more, even more than children, it is the biggest task is to encourage parents and help them identify and understand how does this work to parent a special child?
Yes, a parent faces lot of challenges navigating the child's educational journey, his social journey. So you have to give the right guidance to parents, because there is a lot of information on the internet, on Google. There are a lot of parents, there are family members who misguide parents. So the young parents with who have recently got to know about any kind of disability or a delayed development, they do not know what to do, and they don't know where to go and whom to talk to. So guiding these parents, counseling these parents, showing them the right path is our job as professionals, and that is what we need to really do for these parents.
Yeah. I see that a lot of times there's a mentality for parenting, orthodox parenting, that we should rather push the child. We'll put them in a normal school and they'll eventually manage. So, how do you convince such parents, and what is the problem in this ideology?
So let me tell you that we have a mindset as a parent that my child has to go to a school. Firstly, my child has to go to a mainstream school. Uh, my child does not need a special school. So, this is where we struggle. Like, we know that the child will not be able to cope up in a mainstream school. We know that the child needs intervention at this point of time, but the parents are really, really trying to fit the child in a neurotypical world, which is where they go wrong. And then this child really comes under a lot of pressure of what's happening around in a mainstream school and starts falling back, starts regressing. So which is why parents really need to understand that there are alternative methods to teach a child, there are alternative schooling methods. So please do not try to fit your child into the neurotypical world.
That is true. I think many times there are some schools as well. I don't know much about it, but sometimes they also take such children and then they are not able to nurture them, support them. Such cases come to you?
Yes, a lot of them, that the child has been taken into preschool. They have admitted the child, admission is given, fees are paid, but once the child starts going to school, they're not able to manage him. But most of the times, these schools also do not tell the parents that the child is not sitting in the class. The child is wanting to go out of the class all the time. So these are the things. It is the school's responsibility to make the parents aware. If the child is not school ready, if the child is not sitting in the class, if the child is hyperactive, if the child is not socially engaging with children, so it is a school's responsibility to inform parents that there are some issues because of which the child is not able to cope up in a regular school format.
Yeah, yeah. I sense a lot of motivation to deal with this issue, and I'm sure that you must have found a lot of shortcomings in the current education system to actually start this journey. What was your first inspiration to start this process?
So in 2009, there was a parent who came to me with her 3-year-old son. She had recently moved from Mumbai. The child was admitted to a preschool in Mumbai, and he was sent back home every day because he used to stand in a corner, the bag on his back, water bag in his neck, standing there for 6 months in the corner of the room, crying. And the school did not know what to do with the child. So school used to call the parent and tell them, please take your child back. Please take your child back. He's crying. He's crying. We are not able to manage him. He's a completely misbehaved child. So the parent was frustrated. The child was diagnosed of autism. she got to know that the services in Pune are better. So she came to Pune and she was looking for preschools. But the schools in Pune also denied admission to this child because he was diagnosed of autism. So she came to me and she said that I'm looking for a school setup for my child. The doctors have advised that he should be with children, but none of the preschools are taking him. So I told her that we will definitely take the child and we will see what we can do with him. The boy is 13 years of age now and he's doing well. We worked with him, we understood his sensory issues, we navigated his entire journey of education, his social skills, and that was our inspiration. And then in another 3 months, there was another parent who came with the same request that my child is not being taken in any other preschool, but he needs to be with children. So then we took the second child and the third one. And the idea was having an inclusive setup because we already were running a preschool. So we tried to place these children in the regular classroom for some time. But when they had their meltdowns, when they wanted their time, we could pull them out of the class and take them to a calmer place. So we did all of this with these children and we found that they're doing well, they're learning a little bit, their sensory issues were taken care of, and it was not a really difficult task to handle them.
I'm very sure that you must be one of the very few people who don't think it is a difficult task. Yeah. I think there's a lot of fear within parents as well, whether my child, it's a very wrong word maybe, but will they fit into the normal world? Will they fit? Because right now you just mentioned that the child is 13-year-old and he's doing very well. Does this happen that parents come with this fear that what will happen with my child, and how do you support them with this?
Yes, so parents have this fear that what next? What will my child do once he's 15 years of age, once he's 20 years of age? So honestly, we don't have a lot of options available for children beyond 15 years of age who are special children. But right now, we are making sure that these children get the right environment, get the right supporting environment, get the right therapies at the right time. We try to counsel the parents that please look into early intervention. Do not wait, because a lot of parents come to us at the age of 6, the child at the age of 6 or 7, where a lot of time is lost. And there are family members who tell them that you don't have to really worry. He might start speaking at the age of 4. He might start walking at the age of 3. But that's not the case. You have to consult and you have to know the importance of early intervention, which will make the life easier for the child and the parent in future. So we are stressing so much on early intervention that do not waste time. Whatever you do between the age of 2 to 6 is going to help your child after 10 years of age. So please consult and get into early intervention.
What is this difference between children who are able to get that early intervention and children who miss out on such an intervention? Is there a visible difference?
Yes, absolutely. Because we have seen it in our school. We have children coming at the age of 3 and we have children coming at the age of 8. There is a remarkable difference. Parents who have accepted the disability, who have opted for interventions at early age, that child could be able to go to a mainstream school if intervened well and on time. But again, it depends on the child's ability. But we've had a couple of children who have gone to mainstream schools. But if there is a child, like we have a child, a boy who's come to us in the last week at the age of 8. He lives in a very remote village where there are no services available. And now the parents have come to Pune looking for support. And till the age of 8, he has not done any kind of intervention. So we really have to make the child unlearn all the habits that he has acquired till the age of 8, and then we have to start from scratch. But the brain development that happens in the age of 0 to 6, where the right input for language, the right input for social skills is given, that age is gone. So if you try to give that input at the age of 8, it's highly doubtful that the child will pick up these skills. So early intervention is the key.
But is the child able to go to a normal school if the early intervention is given right and the child has that ability to catch up?
If the child has that cognitive ability, if the parents have worked really well with the child, because parental involvement is also very, very, very important. You cannot just depend on school or therapies. So if there is a multidisciplinary approach from everybody, like the school, the therapist, and the parent, if they really work very closely, then and the cognitive ability of the child is good to cope up with the subjects that would come at grade level, then definitely yes. Yes.
So, ma'am, I'd like to understand what are the specific things a parent should look out for in the process of child's development, which can help them identify this sooner.
So basically, a parent should be well aware of the normal milestones of a child. So, when does neck holding happen? When does the child start sitting on his own? When does the child start crawling? When does the child starts walking? So, parents should have a normal milestone chart put up. So, anything unusual or any delay of more than 2 to 3 months in this normal milestone pattern, parents should consult a developmental pediatrician. For example, if a child is not walking by the age of 1 year, if the child is not talking even one word by the age of 2 years, if the child is not holding his neck by the age of 6 months, then definitely there is something that the parents should consult a pediatrician. And if it is in the normal course of development, then it's fine, but it's never a harm to consult and see if the child is on track.
When parents do get to know that their child might be a little behind developmentally, then what is the steps? Then what to do?
So, usually, the developmental pediatrician will tell the parents if there is any delay in development. And usually, at such times, there are interventions and therapies that are advised, which the parent should start immediately. So, for example, if a child is diagnosed of autism, occupational therapy is extremely important and should start immediately. An OT evaluation is a must. But parents somehow are scared of the word therapy, and they think, how can I send my 2.5 or a 3-year-old child to therapy? So they wait, and till the child is 4 years of age, there is no intervention that has happened, then the time is lost. So, my advice to parents would be, please do not get scared. Please talk to people around you, talk to professionals like us, get all your doubts cleared, and start the therapies and interventions as soon as possible.
Do you think parents' expectations play a big role in that uh, process of taking immediate actions?
Yes, see, naturally, a parent expects the child to go through the normal course of development. The parent wants the child to go to a normal school. The parent wants the child to do everything normally, what the other children are doing. So these expectations, although they are valid, but these could put a pressure on the child. So if you do not give up on your expectations, and if you do not see what the child's needs are at that stage, then you might lose out on time, and the child might not get the right interventions that are needed. So expectations, yes, valid, but first the child, then the expectation.
Very true. I think this must be a big task of your work to manage these expectations of parents, and they must be asking you a lot of questions.
Yes, so parents also expect miraculous results. Like when we suggest occupational therapy, in 2 months they come back saying that I'm not seeing any results, and I stopped the therapy because the child was not showing any improvement. But occupational therapy or any kind of therapy needs time. It really needs a lot of time, where the child has to get used to doing certain things. The therapist has to start working with the child. It might take just 3 weeks to settle the child and create a rapport with the child. So that is what is needed even before you start working with the child. And therapies go on for a long time. I always tell the parents that what you do in the age of 2 to 6, you might not see the results then. But a child who comes to us at 10 years of age and has done therapy in the age of 2 and 3, we see the difference there. So, like they say, that if you do yoga in the age of 30 to 40, you might not see any weight loss happening, or you might not see like your balance really improving well. But when you cross 50, you will realize that what you did in the age of 30 to 40 has helped you now. So that is how therapies also work. It takes time. Please do not expect miraculous results, but it is helping the child for sure.
Yes. I think just like you mentioned, it takes time. I'm very sure it must have taken you a lot of time to develop all these interventions. So I want to get back to just like you mentioned that it was the first time 2009 you took a child and then you realized that you are interested in this. What was the process of the developing of Innocent Times?
So when we had about 5 children coming to us with these kind of challenges, this parent told me that, Ankita, why don't you start an intervention center where it is an inclusive preschool, but these children get the right supports, accommodations that are needed. So we started this in 2015, where we officially started taking children. We started telling parents that we take children into this program. And believe me, in the first 6 months, everything everything collapsed, because we thought one structure will work for a set of 5 children. And that is the time we realized that no, this one structure does not work for a group of children. We really had to sit down, we had to think, we had to observe each child so minutely. What does he do when we give him tiffin to eat? How does he respond when we switch on the light? How does he respond when we take him in a group of 10 children trying to create an inclusive environment for him? That was our period of learning, and that is when we realized that we need to come up with individualized plans which are absolutely catered and toned down to the child's unique needs. And that was our eureka moment. Like, then we realized that, oh yes, this is what we need to do. And we started seeing results after we started planning individually for every child, after we started believing in a strength based approach for the child. And yes, that was absolute success for us.
I see that you have put so much attention into minutely developing every aspect of this. Do you think this individual approach, this sense of attention, differentiates Innocent Times from other schools?
I am not sure about other schools, but at Innocent Times, we really, really take care that the child is first loved, is cared for, is valued with whatever he comes in. So we do not say no to any child. Every child who walks into our doors will be accepted, will be loved, will be attended to. And this takes a period of 1 or 2 months. Once the child is absolutely settled, we start working with the child. We first observe the child for a very long time and map his current level. This is where the child is in terms of his social communication, behavior, academics. And then we, a panel of experts sitting at Innocent Times along with me, we make an IEP for the child. Now, this IEP will be covering all his domains. It could be as simple as potty training. Like, if an 8-year-old child is not yet potty trained, that becomes a goal for us. If a 9-year-old child is yet not eating on his own, that becomes a goal in his IEP. So we look into every aspect of the child which the child is not doing age appropriately. That becomes a goal of our IEP. and we work according to that.
Do you think sometimes I feel that many people must have come to you and said that this is too detailed, this is maybe too in depth. Does that happen with you, that parents think that this is too deep and their parenting was different and you should raise the child with a different way?
No, actually, it doesn't happen like that. We have evolved over the years. So, why such detailed plans? Because in the initial 2 to 3 years, there were a lot of parents who came back saying that we don't know what is happening at school. We don't even know whether the school is doing anything. We just think that the child is coming here and just going back without doing anything. So, how do we know what are you exactly doing? So then we have tried to attend to each and every problem that the parent has come to us with. So the moment we saw the anxiety in a parent that they really want to know on a daily basis what the child is doing at school, we started having a documented IEP with long term goals for a year, which is shared with the parent. These long term goals are broken down into short term goals. We have a quarterly review with every parent where we discuss the progress of the child every quarter. Usually, you would have 6 monthly reports in a regular school, but we do it every 3 months. Now, beyond that, there is a monthly plan that goes out to the parent at the beginning of every month, where the parent would know what is going to be done with their child in this month, as detailed as week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And even beyond this, the school is working on an app where the weekly update of what has happened in the class is sent out to the parent. So now the parents are kind of convinced that yes, there is something happening at school. We meet them every week if they have any questions. So, from our side, we are taking utmost care to make sure that the parent is informed about what the child is doing. We have cameras everywhere in the school. We tell the parents, if you ever want to see what a child is doing in the class, please come and watch the footage. So, we are as transparent as that. And now the parents are convinced. So, we never face a problem. Why are you working with such detailed plans? In fact, parents are happy when we show them our sample IEPs, our monthly reports, our quarterly reviews. Then they're convinced that yes, this school really, really is working with a highly documented program.
I've heard a lot of incidences from you which can actually mark that it is actually working, the process is working. Can you share some of your experiences with parents, how their process was, how did you take them through the process, and how was Innocent Time able to help these parents?
So we had a lot of parents who came to us as first time parents getting to know that their child has special needs. My first job is to counsel them. My first job is to make them realize and accept that don't consider, for example, autism as a disease. It's not a disease, it's a neurological disorder. It's not bad. Einstein was autistic, Mozart was autistic. Uh, there were many other big inventors and scientists who had autistic brains. So we need neurodiverse brains. We need autistic brains to come up with inventions. Otherwise, we in as neurotypical people in this neurotypical world would be left with something which is so age old ancient. So you need neurodiverse brains to come up with something which is extraordinary. So I give them the hope that maybe your child has an Einstein in you, maybe your child has a Mozart in you. Please give him the right opportunity so you know what kind of talent your child has, and do not consider his disorder as a disability or a disease or something that is going to stop him from doing something great.
I think that is a wonderful way to look at it, and I know that it must be difficult for parents to look from that perspective as well. I think from what you have shared, you must have also evolved as a person through this process. How do you think this has changed you? Because I think it must have changed your perspectives, the way of looking at the world quite a lot. And do you think that reflects in your educational philosophy or institution?
Yes, absolutely. If you see Ankita 20 years back, I was a different person. I was extremely impulsive. You could say I was short tempered. I really expected results like this at the snap of my finger. Like I wanted everybody to, come up with what has the child learned in school. You taught A yesterday. Why isn't the child saying it today? So, but my perspective to all of this changed when I stepped into the world of special children. I have become empathetic, firstly, because I really, really resonate with what the mothers go through. So, putting myself in their shoes has made me realize what uh, does it take to become a parent or a mother of the special child. So, empathy is what I have learned. Acceptance of neurodiversity has come to me a long way. I'll give you an example for this. I had a maid come for work, and she had hands and fingers which had something called as tetany, which has slightly crooked fingers. So she really couldn't do a lot of fine work at home, and she was not given a job anywhere. But when she came to me, she was desperate for a job. She wanted to work, she wanted to be independent for herself. I realized that I should give her the opportunity. I was okay, she doing 50% of the work. When she was folding clothes, it was not great. She really couldn't do it well. But I was happy that I gave her the opportunity to be independent. And I realized that what if a child from my school is not given this opportunity? So I have to start. So I think acceptance of neurodiversity is something that has come to me a long way. I have become very adaptive, and all my judgments and implicit biases about everybody around me are gone. They're like really gone, because I analyze the ABC of behavior of everybody around me, my staff, my family. And whenever there is any unusual behavior, I always put it under something like, yes, there is some distress which probably caused this behavior. That is the first thought I would have. So all my judgments are gone. And I think I have evolved as a person who understands neurodiversity so well. And I am a strong advocate of inclusion now. Like if I see any child not being accepted into the society, I would be standing there first and telling them that we need an inclusive society. So we have neighbors around our school who keep complaining of children crying, of children shrieking, screaming, and they've said that we will complain to the society management that the school cannot run here. But then I'm standing there. All of us are there, and we are holding the flag strong. Do whatever. We are going to work for these children.
Wow, I think every educator and parent should take some class from you, because I think that is generally lacking in the entire education system and nurturing of children. Beyond neurodiversity, I think every child requires that. So, ma'am, I think you have developed yourself through this process of becoming an educator, a nurturer. I think patience is a big part of it. How do you teach that to parents? Because I think it must be very difficult for parents to be patient.
Yes, so patience doesn't come naturally to many of us, and just having a special child teaches you to work patiently. It it happens. But then parents lose their patience when they don't see results. Parents lose their patience when the child goes into regression. Parents lose their patience when the medication, the therapies that they've opted for do not work. So my advice to parents is, you have to really give time. These things do not happen at the snap of your finger. They really need time. And when you want to give that time, you need to have that patience. So, patience is the key to your child's development. Do not hurry, do not rush. Take the day as it comes, because there are good days, there are bad days. Have a good amount of patience, which will help you to navigate through your own and your child's life.
I think just like you mentioned that just the fact of having a child with special needs can slowly teach you with this process. But the people you are working around, I think not most of them would have a special child. How do you imbibe these ideologies in them? The patience, the empathy, the acceptance.
So basically, when we recruit staff and special educators to work with children, we really don't look at great qualifications. We really don't look for big degrees. The only thing we look for is the passion and the drive and the patience to work with special children. And the moment I see that in any individual, I ask them, are you willing to work with special children? So, of course, training is needed, qualification is needed, but not everybody who's trained, not everybody who's qualified has that genuine enthusiasm, has that genuine desire to work with special children. So there have been times when we've had candidates with B.Ed in special education, but when they actually go to the classroom to work with about 10 autistic children, they give up and they come back and say that this is not possible. So we look for people who are extremely passionate about working with special children. And I can tell you that the entire staff working at Innocent Times has been sensitized to a level where they just love these children as their own children. They do not consider their disability as an obstacle for their learning. Children scratch the staff, they beat them, they bite them, they hit them. The caregivers might have scratches on their hands which bleed, but believe me, none of these staff members ever come to me complaining, ever come to me telling that this child, I don't even get to know. I mean, when I walk in the morning and I see some bandage on one of my staff's hand, I ask them what happened, and they say that, oh, yesterday this child bit me. It's a regular and a normal course for them. Even my security guard who stands at the gate understands autism and these disabilities so well that he can actually handle 5 children by himself. And he is the first connect uh, to children when they walk in, and children are so happy to see him. So I can really proudly say that every person who is working at Innocent Times identifies himself as a person who is absolutely prepared to work with special children.
So, from what you are speaking, I get a sense that you have designed this entire process for the children, right? From when they enter the premise to each and every moment they are there. I really want to get deeper into what is happening at Innocent Times. What are the things you have designed for these children?
Whenever a parent walks with a special child, what we do is we do an observation of 10 days with the child, where the child comes to us for 2 hours and we assess the child on all levels, his social, communication, behavior, academics, gross motor, fine motor. We map the current level of the child. This is the time when a decision for the child's future way forward is decided. So once this observation report is prepared, we discuss it with parents. In this, we exactly know what should be done with the child. It could be that the child really does not need an intervention program. Please look for a mainstream school. If that's not possible, then we suggest our intervention program to them, wherein the child will get interventions appropriate to his unique needs. The IEP goals are set, the IEP is shared with the parent, it is mutually discussed what the parents' expectations are and what the current level of child is. And the special educators work on the goals of this IEP. If the child is yet not ready to get into this program, then we suggest a one-on-one remediation and make the child school ready or group ready. So there have been children who have behavioral issues, who have frequent meltdowns, who are still not ready to get into a class of 8 children. They get into one-on-one remediation. So we suggest what is actually appropriate for the child, whether it's our own intervention plan, whether it's a mainstream school outside, or whether it's a one-on-one remediation. That is what is done at Innocent Times. Once the child gets into our program, it is a combination of group sessions to work on their social skills, to work on their sensory integration, and there are one-on-one sessions happening where the goals from the IEP of that particular child are worked on with the special educator one-on-one. Now, here what we do is we have an occupational therapist on board who comes to us once in a week. She observes the child in the class and she suggests classroom modifications to the special educators. So, we are observing children to a level where anything in the class which is an obstacle to his learning is immediately modified and the accommodations are given. We have a clinical psychologist who comes and observes children in the classroom. She also trains the teachers how to navigate, how to work with children with developmental delays and with autistic children. So, that is the kind of multidisciplinary approach we follow, making sure that the child has the right environment at Innocent Times to learn and move ahead academically, socially, emotionally. So, that is what happens at Innocent Times.
Do you think creating a good environment for these children is the biggest part of this entire process?
Yes, like I said, you first need to connect with the child. Even though autistic children might lack social skills, but they do have a heart and they do have emotions. And they definitely understand the touch. They definitely understand your body language. They understand whether this person is willing to work with me or not. So, the first thing that needs to be done is connect with the child, make him comfortable, develop a rapport with him, and then everything else falls in place. So I tell my staff, forget academics, forget your plans. First, make sure that the child is happy to come to school. Make sure that the child is absolutely excited in the morning to go to school. And yet it happens, like parents tell us today, that the child gets up in the morning, wants to wear his uniform and come to school. That is what an environment we are creating where the child is just happy to come to school, and then everything else is taken care of.
I think making this happen for autistic special children would be one of the most difficult tasks. Can you throw some light on what are the features of autistic children and what are the differences between common education and the strategies you have to take for autistic children?
So, autism is a neurological disorder. It is a complicated disorder. Why complicated? Because the child physically looks absolutely fine. For all of us, a disability would mean that a child is physically handicapped. You can see cerebral palsy child, you can see a Down syndrome child uh, in a different way. But autistic children could present themselves absolutely fine physically. But there are a lot of things that are going on internally with an autistic child, which you minutely need to observe. For example, if a child is not responding to name by the age of 8 months, if the child is not giving an eye contact to the parent or the caregiver at all, if the child is not engaging with the parent, like usually a child by the age of 5 months, 6 months would identify a parent, would try to want to go to the parent or ask for a toy or have joint attention with the parent. Like if the parent is pointing out to something, he would look at that object. So all of these features are missing. So parents have to really watch for all of this, that if your child is not responding to his name called, if the child is not giving eye contact, if the child is involved in solitary play, like he's playing by himself all the time, he's playing with the wheels of a car, if he is getting fixated to certain toys and getting him out of that activity is a challenge. So all of these features could lead to autism. You have to consult a developmental pediatrician and get the assessments done. And when it comes from the developmental pediatrician that the child is on the autism spectrum, then you need to start the right interventions. At Innocent Times, our plans are developed for autistic children where we use visual timetables. For example, autistic children need predictable routines. Transitions are very difficult for them. So they need to know how their day looks like. So our classrooms have visual timetables where when every child comes in, he is shown what he's going to do during the day. The child could be non-verbal, but that doesn't mean he's not going to understand. They are visual learners. They have very good visual memory. So when they see that after my snack break, I have my sports session, after the sports session, I have my one-on-one remediation, they are prepared. And when you make it predictable for them, their anxiety is low. Uh, their meltdowns would be low, and they would be much more settled in the class, and they would participate in the activities much in a much better way. So which is why we have a lot of visual aids. You cannot give a lot of verbal instructions to an autistic child. These constant verbal instructions of sit here, do this, get up, stand in a line, go and take your tiffin, it's a lot of sensory overload for a child. So you have to keep your verbal prompts, your verbal instructions at minimum, and use visual aids as much as possible. Your classroom environment also should not be overwhelming, overstimulating. It should not have a lot of vibrant colors. It should not have a lot of bright light. It should not have too much of sunlight coming through the windows. You need to have a very calming and soothing environment. At Innocent Times, we have a very specially designed calming and sensory room where we have different modes of light. We have calming bottles. We have fidget toys. Wherein, whenever there is a child in a meltdown, he's taken to this area and he is taught to self regulate himself. So, that is also one of the key goals that we work on, that if a child is triggered because of any of these sensory issues, he should be able to self regulate. He should know that this is my space where I can go and calm myself down. So, a few children have learned, and this calming room, sensory room, is working wonders for them.
So, ma'am, I think till now we have been talking about parents, how to prepare parents, how to prepare the staff. But I know that it must be very difficult to prepare children every day to make them sit for learning. How do you do that? What is the process do they have to go through?
So, they don't sit. We have to work on them to increase their sitting tolerance. So, like I said, we have an autist on board who comes every week. So, she suggests a lot of classroom modifications. She suggests a lot of activities which we have to do it with children in group and moreover in one-on-one sessions, which builds up their sitting tolerance. So, everything that is expected out of a child to go to a class is not coming naturally to these children. You have to train them. So, like I said, a lot of children are not potty trained. A lot of children are not able to identify their bags. A lot of children are yet not able to wear their shoes and socks on their own. So, we are working a lot on their ADL skills, which are called activities of daily living. We want to work with them to make them independent for life. So we have to teach them all the skills that are necessary to function in a routine life. So in this, when we have a child between 12 to 14 years of age, we have to work on their skills which will make them independent. So for this, there is something called as functional academics. Now in functional academics, you teach them to read the prices on labels of probably a biscuit packet or a cornflakes packet. You teach them money transactions, like what should they do when they walk into a grocery store. We teach them kitchen skills, like how to turn on the gas, just as simple as making tea for themselves, because tea in India is so much needed. So they should be able to make these things for themselves. So this is functional academics that we add into our IP when the child is between the age of 12 to 14. So the basic principle that we follow is make them independent for life.
There's a very big question I want to ask you because you're giving so much support. I am only worried to ask this question: what happens after innocent times? Like, are there any cases? Are there any studies?
See, honestly, uh, there is not much available for this for these children after the age of 15. Ideally, a child who is not gone through the routine course of academics by then should get a pre-vocational and then vocational guidance. There are not many institutes or organizations which give pre-vocational or vocational guidance to these children. So what I promote and advocate is, forget pre-vocational, vocational. You have to give these children a purpose for life. When I worked at Bal Kalyan, where I meet parents from the lower socioeconomic background, there are children in the age group of 15, 18, 21 who have not gone through any interventions. And when I ask the parents, what does the child do? So they say, nothing. He's just sitting at home. Most of the time, if the mother has to go outside for any housework, if she's working as a housemaid, she usually locks the child at home and goes out. So my question to all of these parents is, what purpose does this child have to wake up every day? Have you put in that sense of purpose in these children, that I have to do something because of which I have to wake up today? So that is what needs to be done. It could be anything like, get up, go to the vegetable vendor and buy vegetables for our meal today. It could be the simplest and the smallest purpose, but you have to instill it in them. I think every individual needs a reason to wake up every day. So give it to these children, give it to these individuals with special needs. It does not mean that they, because they have not gone to school, because they have not done academics the way it was expected, means they will not be able to do anything else. Please give them enough opportunities to explore their talent. Like, put them for music classes, get them to swim. There could be amazing swimmers turning out of a neurodiverse child. But if you don't give them these opportunities outside of academics, how will you ever know that this child was able to do something outside of school or outside of academics? So you need to give them these opportunities and they will do well. I also appeal to all of these schools and institutes that please give these children opportunities to work. Like Amazon is doing a great job. They are hiring children with neurodiverse backgrounds and giving them as simple a job of packaging, because autistic children can do uh, a pattern like job very easily. So if companies, if corporates come up with these kind of jobs for these children and be open enough to hire them, I think we would give them a sense of purpose. We would help them. Money here is not important, but they getting to go to outside world, they're getting an opportunity to work and have that sense of independence is extremely important.
I think what Innocent Times is doing the best is taking the people, parents, children who are helpless, hopeless, and actually giving them a reason. So I think the biggest job must be to create a vision, to create a purpose. What is your purpose? Where do you want to take this?
Honestly, I want to create a school, a center which would cater to all the needs of neurodiverse children, work on every child's unique need, unique talent, and make Einsteins and Mozart out of them. Uh, but also not putting the pressure that just because you are an autistic child means you will become Einstein. So it has to be a balance where you do not put pressure, but at the same time, you do not uh, shy away from the opportunity that could be given to them if they have an extraordinary talent. So we had a boy at 4 years of age, and he could read menu cards and he could read the karaoke lyrics on a screen. He was never taught reading, but if he saw a menu card, the next day he could tell us the entire menu, even if it was a 5 page menu card. He always still comes to all our events and he sings, reading the lyrics on the screen. He reads the Hindi and Marathi script as well. So we don't know how he got it, but he has this extraordinary talent and he's playing tabla so well that I'm sure he's going to become a great percussionist. So these are the talents that you should look for and give them the opportunity, where academics is not the only thing.
I guess the most important thing you're doing is to actually support these parents, because I think they must be feeling lost, and coming to you, having this conversation, I'm very sure they must be feeling belonged, they must be feeling motivated. What is something you would really like to tell parents of, and I will not even restrict to special children, because I think what you've cracked the best is the empathy, the patience, whatever is required for parenting and nurturing. What would you want to tell new age parents, new age nurturers who are just starting their journey?
So I would tell young couples, even before they want to become parents, that please have a work life balance. Please do not stress yourself so much that for a mother during pregnancy, make sure you're eating well, you're sleeping well, you're exercising well, and you are not going through any kind of stress which could affect your fetus. So I would start from there. Like, it's not even after the child is born, but before a child is born. Make sure that you're mentally absolutely taken care of. Indulge in self care where you have your me time. If you have extensive hours of work, if you are working in an IT company which demand extra hours of working, and if you are planning a pregnancy, make sure that you cut down on your work hours, make sure you're sleeping well, make sure you have an extremely supporting environment which would help you through your pregnancy. I think that is where I would start. And then, if you have a child born with any unusual development, then please consult. You have to consult a developmental pediatrician, and a mother has the instinct. She knows when she sees something unusual. So she should not wait for anybody, not from the family, not from friends. People will tell her that it's okay, your child will come up, he will walk, he will speak. But when you, as a mother, when you know, when your instinct tells you that there is something unusual with my child, please consult. And a consultation is never a harm. We have good developmental pediatricians in Pune. Please consult them, get your child assessed, see what is being what kind of treatment plan or what kind of therapy plan is advised, and just start without thinking anything. After that, when it comes to the schooling stage, we are there. So always come back to us if you are worried about your child's education. I'm doing a lot of free counseling to parents, even parents who are not in India. They call me up, I talk to them for hours, telling them what is needed, what should be done at the right time, and how important early intervention is. So, these are the things that a parent should definitely take care of and not waste a single minute.
I think eventually all the parents, the students, the children are living in a society, and what I feel from this conversation, that as a society we are also not doing much for these children, and especially from understanding your perspective about how empathetic you can be, how patient you can be, what would you tell us as the new generation, as the society? Are there any things we can do for these children, and how does society need to change to actually incubate these young minds?
My question to families, to parents of neurotypical children are: do you invite a special child to a birthday party? Do you invite parents of special children to social events? So I think that is absolutely missing. Inclusivity is absolutely missing in this society. 90% of people are neurotypical. So when there is a smaller community with neurodiversity, there is a culture that they are marginalized. Like they will be left aside because you don't fall into the neurotypical category. You don't fall into the programmed normalcy of the world. So my appeal to everybody in the society is: if you have a special child next door, if you have a parent of a special child next door, please go and talk to that mother. Please invite that child at your place. Please let your neurotypical child have a play date with these children. They need neurotypical children around them. They need inclusion. They need everybody around them to understand that we are a part of this world. The more you try to keep them separate from this world, the more they are going to feel not belonged. So there are big societies, gated communities coming up just for special needs parents and children. But honestly, I'm not a great friend of that, because it means that you're trying to create a separate world and a separate community. But what are we trying to do today is inclusion. So if you're going to create separate communities for them, how are you going to say that these children, these parents should be included in the society? So even you people as youngsters, please talk to your friends about autism. Please spend time in centers where there are these children. See what challenges they go through, and try to spend some time with them. I think that is what is needed.
From whatever you have told, I realize that it is an extremely intricate process of how you are able to support a child. I understand your process, your design is so intricate, and I would love to know more about how it has helped students. Is there any success story you'd like to share?
Yes, we have a lot of success stories, but a couple of these stories which I would like to share here are one story of a child who has a genetic disorder. He has ectodermal dysplasia. He doesn't have teeth. So, children with this genetic disorder don't get teeth. They could be non-verbal, and they don't have sweat glands, because of which their body does not regulate temperature. So the parents came to us, and they said that he's not being admitted to any mainstream school because he doesn't have speech and he looks a little bit different. But when we started working with this child, he has shown remarkable progress. His not speaking was never a barrier for us. He is a quick learner. He has learned everything so quickly because of the individualized support that we have given, because of the environment that we have put him in, and a feeling of confidence that yes, you can do it. And he's just learning so well. The parents are so happy. The things he was not able to do till the time he joined school, he is doing all of them now, all of them. So that is how beautifully our program has worked for him. We have another child with CP. The mother was very, very anxious about sending this child to school. She used to stay back outside the gate, trying to peep in through the windows to see if the child is fine. And today, after 3 months, She is absolutely confident about her child coming to Innocent Times, and the child is improved on his social skills. And two of these CP children participated in the annual day that we had a month back. So these are our success stories where children have really, really done well.
Nice. Inclusion, I believe, is the biggest word I have taken from this conversation. And I feel that every person, to be a better human being, must visit a school like Innocent Time, must meet a person like you, because what you get from this conversation, the perspective you get is something totally different. We live in a very bubbled world where we think that whatever we are doing something great, and then you meet a person like this, and then you realize that people are doing something extremely wonderful. So I would really like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to learn more about this, and I think this has been a wonderful conversation. I am sure that most of the parents who are newly becoming a parent of a special child, or even usual neurotypical children and their parents, will learn a lot from this conversation. And I think if they're able to take up this word inclusion, I think we'll be living in a better society.
Yes, I'm very sure, and I'm hopeful that this podcast reaches out to as many parents as possible, and we are able to give the right information to parents who need it. So thank you very much for having me.